guys, today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to set up a Hadoop system. Hadoop is used for big data analysis, so if you're interested in finding any kind of trends in big data, Hadoop is probably the product to go to at the moment. So if you keep watching, I'll show you how to set up a single node Hadoop system, and maybe later I'll do like a multi-node Hadoop system. So just keep watching. It's super easy to do. The first thing you want to go ahead and start doing is creating a Hadoop user to be able to develop your code in and also run your jobs with. So we're going to create something called H user, and then we're going to create an H group, which is a Hadoop group, and we'll assign that user to that group. Pretty simple step here. And we're just going to create this so it separates it from all the other processes. So you don't want to necessarily run your jobs as root. If you have a system like this, you might have multiple people running their Hadoop code to do analysis. So you want to go ahead and separate that. So we go ahead and look at the pasteur file, and you can see that we now have our user and group assigned. And now we're going to use SSH to generate a RSA public key that will allow us to do a passwordless login. So we could generate this key by using this command, the keygen command, as seen on the screen. Once it's done, we can go ahead and go into that .ssh folder and copy the file to authorize keys. We can move this file authorize keys if this was a cluster of nodes to the other nodes, and it would allow us, again, that passwordless login. Then Hadoop can go ahead and pretty much log into other systems to run various commands or jobs for the analysis that you'll be doing. So once you do that, you can go ahead and check the permissions and make sure everything's permission set. SSH is kind of strict, so you have to make sure the permissions are set correctly, otherwise this won't work. And once you do that, go ahead and give it a test, and you notice it logs in right there without any passwords. The next thing we're going to do is install Java OpenJDK, and since we're on the CentOS, you go ahead and use yum install. You also do this on Fedora and Red Hat. The same command should work. If you're on Ubuntu, the apt-get should do the similar process of installing Java. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and type in Java install, yum install, and then Java, and then we use the asterisk as a wildcard variable to install anything that starts with Java 1.7.0 OpenJDK. So it installs various packages. And once we do that, we're going to set up some different system variables and links so the Java will work properly on the system. So we can go into that etc alternatives folder and make sure the Java is pointing to the correct version of Java, and we're going to make sure it's also in the correct path. So now we are in our user account, the H user we created in the beginning, and we're going to go into the .bashrc file, and we're going to make sure our Java variables are set correctly there. Our Java home is pointing to the correct path, as well as adding Java to the path as well, our system path. So once we do that, it should be highlighted like this, and I'm using BI editor here. Now I'm going to download Hadoop. We're going to go to the Hadoop website. It's an Apache project, and it's a hadoop.apache.org. Should take you there. And we're going to go ahead and download the latest stable release. This again, it's free to download. It's an Apache open source project, and it's pretty widely used. So it's going to present me with a few download sites. The top one is recommended. So we're going to go there, and I'm going to go ahead and download the most current version. And then once it's downloaded, we're going to save it to our local directory, where we're going to uncompress it and extract it. So we're going to go ahead and save, click OK. Take a few minutes to download. It's going to put it into our download folder. I did this as root. If you're doing this as user, you have to be aware of that where it's being stored. So I'm going to do the tar -zxvf and then the file that we just downloaded. And now go ahead and extract all the files. This should be, I believe, pre-compiled, so you shouldn't have to worry about compiling this code. So once it's done, we're going to just go ahead and move the file we extracted into our user local directory, and that's going to have it installed there, user local Hadoop to be specific. So once we do that, we're going to change some of our path variables and set Hadoop variables. We're going to go ahead and change the owner of the directory. The Hadoop directory just moved into user local to the H user and H group, and give that ownership. Again, we're going to run our jobs as H user, but if you have multiple users trying to use this, I think this should work as long as everyone's in the H group. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and go back to our user account, and we're going to create some HDFS. So this is a file system that's used by Hadoop, and if you're in a cluster environment, this is where the big data would be stored. Since we're doing a single node environment, this is just a directory on our local host, and we're going to make these two directories. Then once we do that, we're going to edit the user, the H user again, the bashrc file, and add some of our Hadoop environmental variables. This will be in the comments, so you go ahead and cut and paste this from the comments. You don't have to screenshot right here, stare at the screen for a second. There are a number of variables, where the Hadoop is installed, also what's Hadoop common, Hadoop home. A lot of them are pretty much just the path, the user local Hadoop. So once we do that, we're going to go into our user local, and we're going to change some files in user local Hadoop, etc Hadoop. So this is going to change some environmental variables. Environmental templates in Hadoop. So if you go into configuration, again, all this is in the comments. So the first thing we're going to do is change the map ren-site. I'm going to copy the template and copy it over as seen on the screen and make the changes. You go ahead and grab all this syntax from the comments below, from my comments below. So you can go ahead and cut and paste doing this. You don't have to, again, stare at the screen to get every single bit of text here. So we're going to be changing the configuration for a number of these different XML files. And it's pretty much just very basic configuration changes like path and different settings. But this is like the minimal required to do a single node setup. The last configuration file we're going to change is for the HDFS, and it's pretty much just pointing the path to the directories you created in the H user account. So we're going to go ahead and do a VI on HDFS-site.xml, and we're going to make the changes. Again, it's going to be in the comments, so you can go ahead and edit that. We're going to also specify localhost in this configuration, so you want to make sure that's correctly defined, and again in your etc host file, which I'll show in a second. There was a slight issue with the host name, but I'll show you how to resolve that in a second. And the very last file to edit is Hadoop-eval. So we're going to go ahead and make sure our Java home path is set absolutely correct. This is all very Java based, and programming in this environment, again, it's Java is the common programming language. The last thing we're going to do here before we try to test it out is go ahead and go to etc host, and I want to add my host name to my local host, so that way the password login logs back into itself. Now, as the regular user, we're going to go ahead and start two services. The first one we're going to start is for the DFS file system. So we're going to go ahead and hit start -dfs.sh. This should be in your path now that you define your Hadoop installation path. You're going to say yes. It's going to test out your passwordless login to a local host. And the second service to start is a resource allocation manager. So you can hit a start-yard.sh. Again, this should now be in your path. So once these two services have started, you are ready to now run any sample code. You go ahead and monitor the jobs with the jps command to see what's running. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. If you guys are using Hadoop in your environment, let me know what you're researching. I'd be curious. I was just doing this for one of my classes, and I thought it'd be interesting to do a tutorial on it. So I'll talk to you later. Leave a comment below and subscribe to get updates. Bye!